So in the natural calendar, when I was looking at it, generally the month of Adar is usually either in February or March. So we're still in February, so that's good. And Adar usually lasts about 29 days, except during what they call a leap year. And on the leap year, it actually consists of 30 days. Now, this is where it gets kind of interesting and tricky for me, and I was kind of trying to read it and making sure, but when you have a leap year, you actually have Adar 1 that is added, okay? And that's actually added before Adar, you know, and so you kind of have to look at it in the right placing and everything, but Adar 1 is added before Adar, which makes Adar 2. So if you kind of go through that, I don't know why you just didn't, but anyway, I guess because since they call it Adar all the rest of the time, they added an Adar 1, and then so now Adar becomes Adar 2. And so because you always place the one that's on the leap year in front of the month. And Adar, from what I was reading and looking and studying, is the only month that actually adds anything. So all the rest of the Rosh Chodeshes don't add them in their month. So now within the leap year, where you add the extra month, which is Adar 1, that usually comes roughly at about every 3 years. They had like 19 moon cycles and everything, but I think they said it also averaged to about every 3 years. So that's where I was saying that they call Adar 1 to Adar 2 and all that. Now, this was also added because it wanted to make sure that the actual holidays that were being celebrated were celebrated in the proper season. And that is because of the lunar year and the solar years on how you go within your calendar. On the lunar years, it actually has 354.37 days for a lunar year, which I thought was interesting. I didn't know that. So, and then the solar year, which was 365.25 days. So you can see when they add it, it actually kind of balances out. I mean, it doesn't mean it's going to be on the same day all the time or anything. It's still going to rotate, but it stays within those proper seasons. Okay. Now let's see. Now basically what I'm going to talk about right now is what I thought was interesting. These are kind of like interesting facts that I found with kind of looking at it is the first of Adar in 1313 BC, it actually on the 9th, or on the first of each of the Adars, and it was in 1313 BC, it marks the 9th plague, which happened to be the darkness for 3 days, given to Egypt for not letting the Israelites go to worship their God, which this plague actually happened 6 weeks before the Exodus out of Egypt. So these are all interesting facts, and it's all important, and I'm glad I looked at this. The third of Adar, this actually happened in 1515 BC, where it actually marks in Jewish history the dedication of the completion of the second temple being built on the site of the first temple, which was in 329 BC. Now this is probably the most interesting fact. I was excited, not really excited, but I mean, this is kind of an interesting fact, is on the 7th of Adar, Moses was both born and died on the 7th of Adar. And it was 120 years apart. He was born on 1393 BC, and he died 1273 BC. So I thought that was an interesting fact. I mean, how would you like to be born and then die on the same day you were born? Happy birthday. Well, hey, but you meet the Lord, so yeah, that is a good birthday. So that was an exciting fact. And on the 14th of Adar, which we all know in the sense because now this happened in 1474 BC, is where it marks the festival of Purim. And we all know the different, within the Purim, but this is also celebrated a month before Passover, which is in Nisan, which is the celebration of God's deliverance of his people from slavery. So this actually states that Adar happens to be the happiest month because of the celebrations that go on. So it does say that it's the happiest. And this is another fact that I thought was interesting. On the leap year, when you have Adar 1, now you have an extra month of happiness, is what it said. So you get an extra month. Unfortunately, this year it's not a leap year, but anyway. Then I also saw on the 15th, there's a couple of more that I didn't want to list every day, but on the 15th I thought was interesting. This happened in the 1st century AD, so it was like 21 AD. The Jerusalem Gate Day is what it was called. King Agrippa began constructing of the gate of the wall of Jerusalem. The day used to be celebrated as a holiday. So I don't know if it is now, but I think it was. And then, let's see, don't know how exciting this fact is, but okay, I'm not that bad. Quacking me. But in the 25th of Adar, actually in 561 BC, that actually symbolizes from Jeremiah 52:31 the death of Nebuchadnezzar. So those are just some interesting facts. So basically this was kind of an interesting month within what I looked. So with it being one of the happiest months, I do think that now it is time for us to all get up and let's all worship the Lord and let's all show our joy to the Lord. All right? Thank you very much.